cut back costs are there. But the underlying point still remains that people have to push the cans around, regardless of if it's a pay-as-you-throw system. So at this point, and under that logic, we are boxed in a corner where we say, no, there's no way we'll ever cut costs here. We're just going to let them rise because it's too much anguish to provide cans, which is something that every other city in the state does. And it's not a major issue there. But suddenly it's so much anguish and there's so much trouble with it that we'll never, ever be able to cut costs. I don't accept that. And I don't think that's what you meant by your comment, Commissioner. But the underlying point here is that's a major issue. So if we lynch ourselves onto that issue, then there's no way we'll ever be able to take a stance to cut costs here. And so it'd just be continuing on down the same road as we've always done.
I think it's
okay, hold on a second. Commissioner, you raised your hand, Commissioner.
No, sir.
You did not?
I did
Oh, I
not.
thought you did. Okay. Commissioner Waller.
I think a deeper point than that is that we have addressed all these concerns, and a lot of the anguish that I've heard too is based on false information. I think that's the point that a couple of us were making earlier. It's a lot of the folks with the most false information have just had a conversation with the commissioner who just repeated a lot of that false information. I mean, the idea that the idea that folks are concerned are going to be forced to move these large carts around. And we've discussed this in multiple meetings. We've got a draft ordinance and everything that makes it perfectly clear that we're not going to force anybody to use a cart. Straight up. Yet people keep perpetuating this myth that we all know is false. That people keep perpetuating this myth that we're going to force people to use these carts. Commissioner May just repeated that concern that he's heard from elderly folks. And when they call him crying about that, does he set them straight? Does he say, oh, no, it's okay, we're actually not going to force people to use the carts? No, he says, oh, I know, I'm scared too. And then passes it along to us, and we have to deal with it. But there's so much, I mean, we all know for a fact, no matter what anybody's concerns are, we all know for a fact that we're not going to force people to use these carts. Period. So if somebody has a fear that we're going to force people to use the carts, even though we know that fear has no basis and isn't true, I mean, are we supposed to surrender our understanding of objective reality because somebody else has an irrational fear? And it's like all the folks who are concerned that they're on fixed incomes and that they can't afford more fees. I mean, are we supposed to respond to their concerns by charging them $5 a month instead of $4 or $0? I mean, because lots of folks have expressed concerns about fixed income and about not being able to afford things. And if the alternative is to charge them more to address their concerns, then yeah, that might clear up some misinformed concerns that have no basis in reality. But we'll know for a fact that we're hurting them financially more than the pay-pro system would. We all know for a fact that 97% of the public, according to the public surveys we got back, will pay less under pay-pro than under the current fee. And a lot of folks are scared they're going to pay more, but we know that isn't true. So again, are we supposed to? It's like the argument I got into with the guy who would not believe that $4 a month is less than $60 a year. I couldn't convince him otherwise, and I'll never convince him otherwise. And we're never going to convince some folks that we're not going to force them to use carts, or that we're not going to raise their rates. There's only one way to convince folks of the fact that those concerns have already been addressed within the program, and that's to let the proof be in the pudding. I mean, everybody sitting at this table knows that pay-pro will reduce people's bills right now, immediately. 97% of the community. We all know that for a fact. Yet, there are members of the community who are afraid this is going to raise their bills. We can't take those fears into account considering reality. We have to consider reality first. I mean, this idea that we don't know if they'll recycle or not. I mean, yes we do. Full well they'll recycle more. If you make it where people can save money by recycling, not only does it defy all common sense to say that won't work, but it defies all the examples we have in front of us. And we've seen stacks of evidence of communities that increase the recycling rates and save money in the long term with pay-pro. We've seen example after example after example. Nobody produced one single itsy bitsy little piece of evidence of a community that's tried to do this and seen their costs go up, as in their overhead costs. We haven't seen a single example of that happening. We haven't seen a single example of a community doing this and not seeing a dramatic increase in the recycling rate. I'm not saying, who knows, maybe those examples are out there, but of all the stuff we've collected, I mean, all the evidence and data we have, and this is evidence and data done by, these aren't just speculations. I mean, claiming that we can't act on this because it's just an estimate. I mean, by that logic, we can never even pass a budget each year, and we're constitutionally required to pass a budget. And this city has never once, to my understanding, in the history of the city, and to my understanding, and I could be wrong, but certainly not within the last couple of decades, we've never once passed an accurate budget. An accurate budget's a myth. They're all estimates. That's all a budget ever is an estimate. There's no such thing as a concrete budget with hard numbers where you know exactly what all your revenue is going to be, you know exactly what all your expenses is going to be. Such a thing has never existed. Well, yeah, and that's only done in hindsight. I mean, that's the thing. You only know what the concrete budget's going to be after the fiscal year's over, and you can go back and review it. But other than that, every budget anybody who's ever produced, any long-term budget anybody's ever produced is nothing but an estimate. So I mean, and Commissioner May knows that. He knows full well that all long-term budgets are estimates. I mean, and so for him to claim that we can't trust this because it's not concrete, or because it's just an estimate. Anybody who's dealt with budgets for a long time knows how irrelevant a concern that is. Commissioner May knows how irrelevant that concern is. I think he's so in doubt, and lots of folks have expressed doubt and concerns and fears that we're going to raise their rates, or that this isn't going to work, or this, that, and the other. We've also got facts and evidence on our hand. We've also got our basic judgment and understanding, and we've got reports back from citizens, directly from citizens themselves, saying that 97% of the community is going to see their fees lowered immediately with pay growth. And some of those folks are concerned their fees are going to go up. I mean, are we supposed to accommodate their concern when we know it isn't true?
Commissioner May, I would like to, if you had your comments, I'd like to find out just where we are before we have this, get the ordinance ready for first reading or what have you, and we try to move this thing on.
Again, people are taking words and they're twisting them. When people talk to me on the telephone and call, they've been calling for months. At the time some of these folks called, we had not had any kind of proposal until Commissioner Hedden wisely said maybe we could do an exemption for people with disabilities. Up to that point, we had not said anything about allowing people to have that choice. So if people called me and asked at the time, I gave them the information that was at the latest information, which at one point we were meeting weekly, and it seemed to be changing weekly. So it would depend on when you talk to somebody as to what I would tell them and to what you would hear. It was only until tonight we even talked about going from 18-gallon bags to 32 or 33-gallon bags. So some of the people, when they talked to me, I'd explain to them, said, well, Commissioner Hedden had a great proposal to help people who have physical limitations or medical disabilities. And then I told them about the bags, and they, of course, read that and said, well, I can't get much in an 18-gallon bag. And that was one of their fears, too. It was fears of not being able to push the carts, for one. Because then everybody's going to get an exemption. If everybody called in and got an exemption, I mean, what would we end up doing with our crew? We're going to have one system where people are going to be picking up bags, another one they're going to be picking up the containers, and it's going to get confusing, I would think. We can ask that question to staff, how that would work. So up until tonight, we had not said anything about larger bags. It was 18-gallon bags after Commissioner Hedden suggested the exemptions. But up to that meeting, and I don't remember if it was 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, it was at least 3 weeks ago, where Commissioner Hedden brought up the exemption, it was still, they were going to use a container. The other thing is, on the recycling end of that, they're still going to have to push the big container, or a large, whatever the size may end up being, a recycling container. And what people have said, they can put the recycling container in their laundry room or someplace in their kitchen or utility room. Now, the red ones, and they can put one or two, and most of the elderly people are like doing, one or at most two that I've talked with. And now they're going to get a second, they're going to get a rollout cart that says recycling container. So those are the things. The facts are it's changed, and those are the answers that I've given people based on whatever the last meeting was. And we've changed again tonight to where it's not 18-gallon bags. Well, I guess there was a consensus to go to 33-gallon bags. Maybe, I don't know. So those are the points that we're making. Anybody can take anything that somebody said, a phone call from the first day we started talking about this proposal to today, and it's going to be different if you go back and realize that it's changed week to week in some cases. So I'm trying to help people and alleviate their concerns by trying to figure something else out of the proposal, and I think it's either going to be this way or that way. There's not going to be an in-between, and if I guess the in-between is we stay where we're letting people use their own containers or put their bags out. And then some people, when I told them they could put the bags out, they were concerned that animals would get into the bags and tear them up. So I've accurately expressed to folks when they call, whenever that may be, and you have to go back and ask them, well, what day did you talk? Because it has changed.
Okay, this point now where you're ready to agree with the, have Rob put things together and we can look at it next, I guess we have a meeting on Monday, won't we? Probably. And put something on print. Of course, is ready to bring it forth for some more discussion for maybe the first reading.
It's hard to make the revisions discussed tonight, but I didn't know it. Clarified. You want to win at our next meeting?
Next Monday, if the board chooses to meet, and then the voting meeting is the 28th.
Okay.
Next Monday would be at 12:30.
Daytime meeting next week.
Daytime 12:30.
Well, kind of clarify something. I thought when we voted on that, it was going to be if there was an issue that needed to be discussed on that we weren't planning on doing 3 meetings a month, only if needed. Now, yes. I don't know, maybe the commission took this is. I'm not at this point, Mayor. I just want to say I'm not. I don't want to move forward with an ordinance. It's just
okay. You want to have one discussion?
Well, I'm just not. If you're asking, should we advance it to the to a draft here for a first reading?
You prefer no. You didn't know. Yeah.
Without you asking.
I'm saying yeah.
So I guess the point would be there'd have to be 3 to say let's put it on for the.
I think there needs to be some adjustments made to the draft for our discussion. So
I guess my point is there enough interest even to do that? I don't know. That's my question to kind of get off.
If there's 3, we get 3 votes to move ahead on this. I mean, we can't vote, but we've got to get a opinion here. Mr. Wilder would. I'd be here local.
The alternatives in mind too.
What did you say? Did you say something? I did not hear you. Oh, yeah. I thought you were in favor of we can't take votes.
Just an opinion.
What we're trying to say is, in order to proceed.
Well, do I want to see what we talked about, that nothing changed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now are we going to meet next Monday?
I think we need to, frankly. I mean, staff needs some kind of direction from us in terms of ordering the cards. I think they were counting on ordering them.
You said you want to meet next Monday?
Get a babysitter. Said I'll get a babysitter.
yes.
Okay, you got 3 to do that then. Okay. So we'll have to have something there Monday. Right now, with them, this next discussion item, it's getting late.
Yes, there has been some interest in, expressed in, inspecting our city facilities, our city, buildings. There's some problems that are, evident, others that we don't know about. And, there was some interest in, performing inspections, and using, the codes that we inspect other parties with. And, Commissioner Hayden was requesting this, and I don't know if you'd like to make a comment.
Yes, thank you very much. When I first came into office in January, Fred and I took a tour of all the fire department buildings. A few weeks ago, I was called as well after the rain, and I know the roof's getting fixed. But it would be nice to see if we could get all of our buildings looked at for an inspection and follow our own codes. There was a water leak upstairs that goes right behind the electrical lines, which maybe gets fixed because of the roof, but there may be some other damages that exist that we don't see, but an inspector might be able to look at. I don't know if there's mold behind any of the walls where the water leaks all the way down in some of the buildings. And at least we could get a list if we had an inspection of all the properties, and we could financially start thinking about fixing some of them. Not to say everything is a top priority, but at least we'd have a list and we could start thinking about budgeting how to take care of our own buildings. And I'm just asking to see if the commission could help say yes to this and have our staff do work.
I'm
sorry. Mr. Mueller is the code guy, and he's doing things.
A couple questions. As far as the inspection, or who does the inspection, and what codes? We have a building maintenance. Andy, he's in charge of building maintenance for 3 buildings. You're right. City Hall, Public Works, and the old fire IT building, I think.
And the downtown building.
So are you wanting him to do inspections and make a list, or do you want code enforcement as far as property maintenance violations or problems? If you want building code, electrical code issues like that, or if you're wanting someone outside to come in and do it. But that's my question, I guess, because I had this feeling it was maybe a little more than probably maintenance, but I didn't know if it was the whole gamut.
I think the whole gamut, just making sure there's not other underlying issues that may be. I was told that the firehouse on the east side also has foundation issues from water leaks as well. So they kind of.
Okay. Some of the we have also zoning codes. We want to see zoning codes as far as where the city is or isn't in compliance with the same zoning regulations, landscaping, parking spaces, that type of stuff, or strictly building.
I think more structural.
Okay. And I get the feeling it's more of a building inspector, electrical inspector, and Andy's side, or we'll take Andy with us. Okay. I'm just trying to get it.
Yeah.
So I can tell my staff what to do.
That's scary.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it. It'll be a.
I think we need to organize it in a way that, maybe set some kind of priority or where you want to start.
I think the electrical ones I'd like to look at. upstairs where that water's gonna leak in right behind it.
So you want to start with this building, and then we'll come back to you and get a report on it. And
Whatever your time exists, I mean, if you don't want to, if you want to report back to us in January and have your staff.
I don't know where the line divides. I do inside the building, but not outside the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to determine where Blackmore's building and what's a city building.
Mm-hmm.
So someone can help me determine that.
Don't we own it? What do you call it? What's that?
Yeah.
So it's our building.
I've never been told that.
Yeah, we own that part of the building, so.
Okay.
Although they haven't been containing it for a long time. Possession being my house, who knows around there.
We'll assume the whole building outside, from what I can tell. Because I don't think they want us to go in their office.
Code section.
We're not running violation, we're just making a grocery.
Just like a grocery store.
so we'll come back in January. I think that's
Yeah.
doable, or
For City Hall, for sure. It's the week of Christmas. I'm doing the city sweep. Every property, every structure, every street, every alley. And then I have to have my report done before Christmas because I'm trying to take off the week after Christmas. And my report has to be done before January 1st. So it's pretty much the week of Christmas. So that'll be done before Christmas. That we can do. City Hall, sure, but I'll try and get the others. The city and county fire station is joint.
Okay, you're supposed to.
Yes, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I don't think I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I didn't invite to stay here until we see those things.
Call roll, please.
I didn't have a second.
He did second. I'm a motion.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Commissioner Waller?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hadden?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Mayor Graham?
I've been going forward to this.
What I was proposing is for a second. What they're doing over with Chris. See if that's what I was suggesting. I'm only taking a approach with the so that would be where I come from, and I didn't want to. I didn't know. But that's what I was
There's the storm. What? Got everything on? You can't find either. You're a good sign.
I know. Go back in. I thought about that.